Alright, so Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First and foremost, I would like to give my sincerest of thank yous to my lecturer as Dr. Farah binti Muhtar for teaching us since our first week from the start of the second semester for our subject GPP 1092. So, hello, ladies and gentlemen, to those who are watching. So, today I will be giving a presentation about the aspirations and directions of education and its implication for teachers with an educational spirit. So, without further ado, let us begin. Alright, so let us begin. Aspiration and the direction of Malaysia's education. So, before I further continue, I would like to begin with introducing for education aspiration. That is Malaysian Education Quality Standard, or for its Malay term is KPM. So essentially, in the current education drive that is globalized in the 21st century, the quality of education is is a very important aspect, so that world-class students can be born and developed. So the management of learning and teaching, specifically PDP, in educational institutions, especially in schools, is very, very, very important to improve the quality of education. So, Malaysian Education Quality Standard, or better known as SKPM, is a standard that is utilized by the government, by the Ministry of Education to be specific, which is highlighting the five main aspects that lead to the creation of satisfying educational quality. So, what are the main five aspects? So, the main five aspects are the first standard is school leaderships act as high impact leaders and are able to utilize and mobilize schools members in an integrated manner to further advance the school and improve the quality of learning and teaching, specifically in PDP. So, to further elaborate, for those who still do not understand what the first standard means, is that the Ministry of Education is planning on fully utilizing school leaderships in schools so that they can born and breed naturally good leaders. So the second standard, the school organization is managed by taking into account the potential and needs of staff, the availability of internal resources, and utilizing external resources so that the school can function efficiently and effectively. So for the elaboration for the second standard is essentially the Ministry of Education is planning on fully realizing the usage of stuff, so that not so that every stuff has its uses. And another further elaboration maybe for the line of the availability of internal resources and utilizing external resources. So that essentially means that the Ministry of Education wants the schools to fully utilize external and internal resources to its potential. And the third standard is curriculum, co-curriculum, and sports, and also student affairs are managed efficiently and effectively to ensure that the schools functions as a learning institution in producing intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, and physically balanced students. So essentially, to elaborate, the Ministry of Education wants to make sure that the schools are fully utilizing the standard, co-curriculum, and others that I've mentioned to its fullest. So essentially, by fully utilizing what the government has set, essentially we will be producing like what I've mentioned before, which is intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, and physically balanced students. So, to put in simpler terms, basically the Ministry of Education wants to produce students that are good, not only in IQ, which is intelligence, uh, in, in that are not only good in IQ but also in EQ. So IQ basically means intelligence, basically how well you answer exams, but they also want to make sure that you are good in EQ, which is emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is basically how you as a person adapt to whatever situation you're given, or maybe how you deal with your friends. So I hope that helps you understand the differences between IQ and EQ. So in conclusion, IQ is essentially for maybe test or problem solving in theory, whereas EQ is where how you manage yourself in society in general. So the fourth standard is teachers plan and implementing high quality P&P processes, and also strive to continuously develop students' potential and achievement at an optimal level. So essentially, the Ministry of Education wants the teachers to fully utilize um, and ensure that they only use the most highest of quality PNP processes in order to continuously develop students' potential and achievement at an optimal level. So to simply to elaborate it in a more simple way, basically us, well, I'm gonna be a future teacher, but the teachers at school as of right now, the Ministry of Education wants them to ensure that the teachers are meant to be used are meant to be as catalysts. So essentially what catalyst is basically someone that encourages the students, basically essentially unlocking their potential. The Ministry of Education wants teachers to fully unlock their students' potential, not just by simply teaching, because as we all know, everyone has their hidden talents, and the Ministry of Education wants the teachers to be the ones that are unlocking the students' hidden talents. And the fifth one is becoming a student in general. You know, education at school produces students who are knowledgeable, skilled, noble, responsible, and capable of achieving personal well-being. So essentially, the Ministry of Education wants students to become students. Basically, people that will contribute to society once they've gone out of school. So, after talking about the five standards of SKPM, let us talk about the chronology of SKPM. So, from based off the timeline that you guys, you lots, ladies and gentlemen, are watching right now. So, the first one is establish SKPM in schools in 2003, and then on the second one is the Malaysian Education Quality Standard, or SKPM, is fully utilized in 2010. And then the third one is the Pelaksanaan Pelan Pembangunan Pendidikan Malaysia, or PPPMM, Forgive me, I've tried searching online for the English definition of it, but sadly to no avail. I found none. So this is what we have. That this is the resources that I have gathered as of right now. So it's introduced in 2013 and will end in 2025. And the fourth one is the Standard Quality Pendidikan Malaysia Gelombang 2 or SKPMG2 in 2017. So I know you guys must be confused, but I will elaborate on the chronology soon after this. I also would like to add, after the chronology, there's also PPPM, which is Pelan Pembangunan Pendidikan Malaysia, which we will be talking further bit in the video. So essentially, what is the main goal of SKPM? So the main goal of SKPM is to be act as an evaluation instrument that measures the quality of education clearly and comprehensively on an ongoing basis. Forgive me. And another one of the SKPM's aims is acts as a guide by the school in managing operations according to the needs and interests to achieve a specific standard that is satisfied by everyone. This has been mentioned before. And the third one is to help the schools make an assessment of the school's operation in general. So essentially, SKPM helps the schools get a quality check to ensure that the schools are operating at an optimal level. So for SKPMG is basically an upgrade of SKPM before, whereas in the latest or the newest SKPMG2, it acts as an instrument. It's more action oriented and it prioritizes the quality of education and it's more evidence based. And another thing about SKPMG is that the Ministry of Education wants the role of head school, or how in Malaysia or in Malay we often call guru besar, to fully act as a leader, a guide, and a catalyst in accomplishing its duties as heads of the school. So you might be wondering what are the improvements of SKPM to SKPMG2. So essentially is that every standards are kept and improved upon each aspects, and the roles of teachers in PDPC is more in depth. So essentially you're not just chalk and talk like the old days. Essentially, you as a teacher, you must act as a catalyst. You must unlock your students' potential. And the third improvement is that the standard quality of actions are to be done to achieve a specific standard that is set by the Ministry of Education. And to continue, Pelan Pembangunan Pendidikan Malaysia, or P1M, PPPM. So essentially, KPM produced PPPM in 2013 to 2025 to provide the best education for all students. The production of this plan takes into account input from various sources, namely local and international research reports. So you can tell that the government or the Ministry of Education has done a thorough study on this. And they also took account into views from education experts and educated citizens. And they also take views from parents, students, and citizens across the country. Another thing that I will also like to add is that PPPM, Triple P1M also take account aspirations from previous educational reports. These are very quite popular in history books, in our history textbooks. Laporan Raza in 1956, Laporan Rahman Talim, forgive me, in 1960. And the third one is Laporan Jawatan Kuasa Kabinet Mengkaji Pelaksanaan Dasar Pelajaran in 1979. And the fourth one is Akta Pendidikan 1996. And the last one is Pelan Induk Pembangunan Pendidikan PIPP in 2006-2010. So you can tell, like I've mentioned before, PPPM has been thoroughly researched and and has been studied at an optimum level to ensure that no it's not just an ordinary change by the government or specifically the Ministry of Education. So how did PPPIM was established? So first, they took account into assessing the current performance of the national education system. And the second one is they're taking into account past achievements in education in Malaysia. And the third one, they compare it with international benchmarks so that the best optimum results can be achieved. So for PPPIM's aim is to mainly improve student performance in accordance with international education standards. They are also planning on improving the views of parents and the community on the country's education policy. And the third one is pretty much for the long-term goal, which is preparing the young generation of Malaysia to face the standards of the 21st century. So the three main objectives of PPPIM, essentially for the direction of education. First, they want to understand the current performance and challenges of the Malaysian education system and focuses on several main key points. The second one is creating a clear vision and aspirations for the education system and for students for the next 13 years until 2025. And the third one is outlining a comprehensive transformation program for the education system, including major changes in the Ministry of Education in general. So PPPM is implemented within 3 waves, 5 national education system aspirations, and 6 student aspirations, and 11 shifts. So the first wave started in 2013 to 2015, and it continues to the second wave from 2016 to 2020, and the third wave 2021 until 2025. So further elaborating on the first wave essentially emphasizes on core skills through system improvements by accelerating changes in program implementation methods. And it also focuses on methods of improving the quality of teaching by improving the quality of existing teachers and school leaderships. And the third one is increasing the literacy rates in Malay, English, and numeracy through an intensive rehabilitation program. The second wave is highlighting the changes in the national education structure were implemented to speed up the process of changing to all initiatives that began during the first wave. The changes were made to align with the second wave, and among the movement, all of the 410,000 teachers and 10,000 PGB to the new career package standard that they have to follow, and the restructuring of the MOE, the Ministry of Education. And the third point is a revised primary and secondary school standard curriculum. It is introduced in an effort to adapt knowledge, skills, and values to advance with the current development of the world economy. And the third wave, it focuses on a shift towards excellence. please forgive me. It focuses on a shift towards excellence with increased operational flexibility of all schools, teachers, and forgive me. All school teachers and PGBs. PGBs, for those who don't know, are basically head of the school, or guru besar, how we like to pronounce in Malay, needs to perform above minimum standards. Please forgive me. And the second point for the third wave is the focus is on efforts to increase operational flexibility to foster a peer leadership culture for the development of excellence in professionalism. And the third one is this effort is mainly to develop a self-progress maintenance system capable of triggering innovation and increasing achievement to a more outstanding level. So, as we are talking about the direction of education, I would also like to highlight the 5 aspirations from the country's education system. So, based on the picture given, I'm sorry, it's very bad. It's in a very bad quality. I've tried finding a more clear version, and maybe a version that is in English, but sadly, to no avail, I've sadly found none. But no worries, I've tried my best translating it, and I hope the ladies and gentlemen are watching can understand what I'm trying to reach out. So the first one is access, or to be more specific, is access to success. So the Ministry of Education is planning on having a 100% enrollment across all levels of education, starting from preschool to upper secondary by 2020. And they're also planning on children getting equal educational opportunities, to have equal access, to enable them to reach or unlock their potential no matter their backgrounds. So this is, in my opinion, a great effort by the Ministry of Education, because as we all know, not everyone is at the same wealth as others. As we all know, in Malaysia, most economic level is divided into 3, which is M40, B40, and the highest one is T20. So the second one is high international standard quality, or referring to the chalk image is quality. So essentially, countries in the top third of the international assessment, such as TIMSS and PISA, within 15 years. So they're planning on ensuring that Malaysia is in the top third of international assessments. So you might be wondering or asking, what is exactly TIMSS and PISA? So TIMSS is essentially a trend in international mathematics and science studies. It's as a measurement level of a specific country's educational system. Whereas PISA is a program for international students' assessments. So it is also the same thing as TIMSS. It is an assessment program that is meant to measure a country's education system. The second point about quality is that teachers must greatly improve the implementation of iThink and from VLE, so that students can perform and be improved, so that they can maintain the momentum. Personally, from VLE and iThink is a good effort by the government to ensure that the future students are tech savvy, are good at handling technology. And the third one is equity, which is equity for all students, to be more specific. That includes, or to further elaborate, is a 50% reduction in socio-economic and gender-related urban-rural achievement gaps by 2020. The educational system will also provide access to attractive alternate paths such as vocational education to improve opportunities for students with a variety of interests. So, ladies and gentlemen, to further elaborate on the second point, is that the Ministry of Education um, are preparing a alternative path for those who might not fancy the STEM path, and offer them a different path, which is vocational. And it acts as another opportunity for students with a variety of interests to indulge in. And continuing is in Malay they call it perpaduan, but from what I tried to translate is cultivate unity among students. So the Ministry of Education essentially took aspirations to form an education system that offers shared experience and values to children by appreciating diversity. And co-curricular activities need to be optimized, and the principle of one student one sports, or in Malay we like to call satu murid satu sukan, needs to be strengthened so that the application of values and experience can be applied in the construction of national identity. So essentially, satu murid satu sukan is not catered towards one type of nationalities. As we all know, in Malaysia we are a country with a diverse nationalities. And continuing on is kecakapan, or how I've translated is high efficiency implementation. The Ministry of Education wants a system that maximizes student success in according to existing provision and funds by the school. Student success needs to be maximized for every ringgit that the government has spent on educational advancements. So basically, the Ministry of Education does not want not even 1 cent to go into waste in order to ensure a student's success, no matter whatever type of competition or any form of participation. So essentially, the Malaysian education system aims to ensure that every student achieve their maximum potential. This is what I've mentioned in the early part of the video. Like I said, teachers are meant to be catalysts. So the Ministry of Education clearly, as I rephrase, aims to ensure that every student achieves their maximum potential or unlock their potential thanks to the teachers. Continuing on in the education direction. So the 6 student aspirations is that the Ministry of Education hopefully plans that every student will be knowledgeable in various fields to produce versatile students. So we don't want a specific group of students in a specific field. They want to make it versatile. And the second one is every student will have the skills to connect to various knowledge and be able to help students solve various problems. So essentially, the Ministry of Education wants students to have high level of critical thinking in order to solve various problems at ease. And the third one is the spirit or enthusiasm to involve oneself as a leader in group work to cultivate leadership qualities, entrepreneurships, emotional intelligence, and language skills. So this is what I've mentioned in the early part of the video, mainly about SKPM and how they want to fully utilize the school leadership boards in order to produce, like what I've just said just now. They want to make sure that every student has the spirit or enthusiasm to involve themselves in leadership. And the fourth one is every student will have good communication skills, whether speaking bilingually or using it as an opportunity to learn an additional language. As we all know, as of right now, people who have the ability to speak three languages are often more valued than those who can only speak two languages. So the third language usually um, what what workers want is mainly Mandarin, but it can also be other languages. It doesn't have to be Mandarin. That is an example that I've given. So the fifth one is that every student will have ethics and spirituality that can shape character and personality, as well as the application to spiritual values, integrity, and responsibility. And the sixth student aspiration is that every student will have a unique identity that will understand differences, so that the spirit of belonging can be embedded in oneself. So essentially, the government or the Ministry of Education do not want sheeps. They want every individual to have a unique identity, so that they don't have things such as maybe an identity crisis or something related to that. So the education direction, continuing on, there are 11 steps. The first one is providing equal access to international education policies. The second one is ensuring that every student has mastered skills in Malay and English and is encouraged to learn additional languages, which I've mentioned before earlier. And the third one is producing people who appreciate values, or in Malay, has nilai into them. So um, they don't want the Ministry of Education don't want people who are just mindless slaves, essentially. And the fourth one is transforming the teaching profession into a profession of choice. As we all know, um, there are a certain group of people that often look past the teaching profession and just treat it as something simple, whereas teaching profession in general is not something that you should look in one eye. You should, in my opinion, sorry for the English. In my opinion, teaching profession is on par, is at par, with other professions. So this is the Ministry of Education's attempt to make it a more defined profession. The fifth one is ensuring high performance leaderships is placed in every school. And the sixth step is empowering GPN PPD and schools to provide specific solutions based on needs. And the seventh step is utilizing ICT to improve the quality of learning in Malaysia. The eighth one is transforming the abilities and delivery capabilities of the ministry. The ninth one is working out with the parents, the community, and the private sector broadly. The 10th one is maximizing student success for every ringgit to make sure that not even a penny is to be wasted at. And the 11th step is increasing transparency for direct public accountability. So continuing in the education directions, what are the implications for educators? So essentially, what are the implications for us as teachers? Well, for me, I'm still a future teacher. I, I don't think I want to call myself a teacher now, but I guess the public would consider me as a teacher. But here are my thoughts on the implication for educators after what I've said from the early part of the video to the middle part and to now. This is my point of view. First one is teacher plays a role in ensuring that all students are entitled to quality education regardless of students' background. So this is to ensure that, as I've mentioned before countless of times now, I think maybe, the Ministry of Education wants to ensure that all students have an opportunity to learn despite of their background. And the second one is teachers play a role ensuring that all students are given the opportunity to gain an education regardless of their background. So you might be confused here. Essentially, um, the first one is about entitlement, whereas the second one is about opportunity. Um, Back then, not everyone is entitled to get quality education. As we all know, back in the old days, maybe our ancestors, maybe our grandparents, back then, they were never given the opportunity to learn at the highest level. Oftentimes, I've heard stories where they will only learn until they will only learn until primary school, and they didn't they don't continue to further levels. And this is what, an example that I've given. Basically, back in the day, um, not everyone was given the entitlement to study, whereas the second point is about opportunity. So those are two different things: opportunity and entitlement. And the third one, continuing, is the teacher is responsible for using the provision and funds provided optimally in the teaching sessions. So, my opinion is that it's a good way to prevent things like money laundering to happen amongst teachers. So, the Ministry of Education essentially wants teachers to fully ensure that no amount of penny goes into waste in ensuring the student success. And the fourth implication, in my opinion, is that teachers will become or needs to be more responsible in changing the quality of the education system in Malaysia, which is less developed compared to other foreign countries like, for example, maybe Sweden or German. Their education levels is at a higher level than us. And the fifth one is teachers plays a role in curbing problems that can uh, often occur between students, maybe related to sensitive issues or racial issues. So essentially, the Ministry of Education wants teachers to have high level of critical thinking skills so that they can solve problems that can often occur in schools among students, especially especially nowadays, especially nowadays where everything tends to go viral easily. The sixth implication that I can think of is that teachers can improve their professional skills and be more creative using proper learning induction methods or learning models that can facilitate students. As we all know, nowadays, um, teachers just teachers are not just people that teach students, as I've mentioned countless of times. Nowadays, the Ministry of Education wants teachers to be catalysts. They want the teachers to unlock the students' potential. So continuing on, to what extent do the implications of aspirations and educational direction affect teachers with an educational spirit? So essentially, what are the implications of the things that I've mentioned before to teachers with an educational spirit, to teachers who essentially wants to teach? So, aspiration aims to so this is what I think in the education direction as the way Malaysia is heading towards. So the aspirations mentioned before aims to improve the quality of education in which in turn will encourage teachers to continue learning and develop professionalism. Teachers will be more open-minded to shifts and work culture changes, as well as update knowledge. And update knowledge essentially means that they've improved themselves, not in knowledge terms, that can help them to become more effective teachers. In addition to that, more teachers will be more aware and have a clearer understanding of the purpose of education in general. This will increase the enthusiasm of teachers to educate students so that they become excellent future holders of the future generations. And finally, the aspirants and direction of education will encourage more innovation and creativity in teaching. Teachers will often use different approaches and utilizes technology when teaching and learning. So this is relevant to the current 21st standard 21st century of teaching, which um, effectively using the usage of gadgets in general. So with that concludes my presentation video for GPPP, a subject under Dr. Farah. So I highly bid you thank you for watching until the end, especially to Dr. Farah if you're watching. Huge thank you for watching till the end. So I think that's all I have to say. I hope what I've said is essentially relevant and is is relevant lah in general. Thank you for watching.